Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, folks. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. I'm Danny Tisdale, and you're listening to the Danny Tisdale Show. As we speak during the coronavirus crisis. And as we try to do with each show, we speak to one or some of the amazing leader, legends, and trailblazers in Harlem. And as usual, if you have any questions, you can send us a quick tweet. Also on Facebook or Instagram, but Facebook, Twitter is probably the best handles to use. Harlem World Magazine, and as I mentioned, some of the other platforms. If you don't have a question but want to share some information, always hit us up at Harlem World Magazine on whatever platform you may be on. And we have a guest that we always love having on the show, always here to impart information for you and for us, and it's Etu Evans. Etu is Harlem World Magazine's creative director, celebrity and guru, shoe designer, and style consultant in Harlem and in the world of Harlem. His designs have adorned Beyonce, Halle Berry, Solange Knowles, Michael B. Jordan, Queen Latifah, and so many others. When Etu speaks, people listen. His purple bottom shoes have been featured in many top international and domestic publications. Etu is a graduate of Columbia University, Syracuse University, and the Fashion Institute of Technology.
South Carolina State University, not Syracuse.
Thank you. South Carolina State University. And you heard him. Thank you for being here, Etu. How are you doing, man?
I am fantastic given the climate.
Well, certainly so, and I hear you on that. And don't forget, folks, to do what we've all been told to do, which is to wash your hands. Don't touch your face with your hands. Stay away from crowds. You know about this distancing of 6 feet and more. But let's stop right there and just get right into the conversation with Etu. And Etu, kind of, what I always like to find out is who inspires and what has inspired those I'm speaking to. And you've done so much and continue to do great work. Who has really been a huge influence in your life, and why?
My grandmother, Queen Esther, I would say, is my life coach. She's been tremendous in everything that I do. Her words of wisdom are the antidotes that I apply to my life and that I impart to others. I like to think of my mother as my MVP because I couldn't play the sport of life without her. And I like to think of my cheerleaders, and the captain would be my sister, and my two nieces would be the squad, Amia and Zari Queen. So those are the people that inspire me. I definitely love Jack Johnson.
I hear you.
I love the fight and the
great role model,
the fervor and the audacity to be who he is in spite of a condition or a circumstance.
Mm-hmm. And I love that sports metaphor. So I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to borrow that. So at least you know now, ahead of time. And I'm glad that we're able to laugh a little bit with all that's going on, and we talked before the show and about a theme of fashion and Corona. What was kind of the concept behind using that fashion and Corona theme?
Well, I came up with the concept of fashion and Corona. People would often, I'm not a beer drinker, but I know many people who love actually grabbing a Corona to relax and a piece of lime. But for me, it's taking on a whole nother meaning because when you think of fashion, it's just not a topical application. It's more than that. And any fashion student, one of the first things that they learn is that fashion does three things. And those three things are fashion represents form, how something is made or the construction centered around it or involved in it. Two, it's the actual aesthetic, the fabrications, the topical stuff that you see. So it's form, fashion, and function. Mm-hmm. And what we see happening now is the functionality of fashion, because fashion helps give us our identity. It confirms our message of who we are in the world. And since now we are trapped, quarantined, if you will, in our homes, when we do go out, most people now aren't really dressing up. So the mask has really become sort of our wearable Metro card as we move around. And I wanted to speak to mask, just overall fashion, but I wanted to provide some information that I think would be helpful for individuals in selecting their mask. So beginning on Friday in New York, it's mandatory on all MTA transit that you have to wear a mask.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure if we are approaching what California is doing, because they're fining residents if they're out in public without a mask, $1,000.
Right. And the governor, good point. The governor hadn't mentioned that today.
So
Governor
there's
Cuomo.
a fine associated with this, and with the lack of jobs or people who have jobs who are unable to attend those jobs. $1,000 is a hefty fine.
Yeah.
Also, a study at MIT has found that subways are a major disseminator of the coronavirus. And as you know, in New York, that is our lifeline. That is our order to work, to everywhere we go. But what I wanted to really highlight, or add a fluorescent mark to, if you will, is that all masks are not created equally. So here's what you need to know. You have to use a relatively high-quality cloth. We're in this craze now where everybody wants to be a mask maker.
Right.
But here's the difference. According to Dr. Scott Siegel, and Scott Siegel is the chair of anesthesiology at Wake Forest Baptist Health in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So
he might know a little bit about what he's talking about.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A regular surgical mask filters out 62 to 65% of particles. In contrast, the N95 mask filters out 95% of these particles. So that's a significant difference in terms of quality and the filtering of the particles. The misconception is that these face coverings aren't intended to protect the wearer. Everybody's thinking, a lot of people I've heard say, I'm protecting myself. Well, actually, what it does is to stop you from preventing the wearer, the virus, to other people. Now, the best mask, if you don't have the N95 mask, the best masks to make or to purchase are considered to have a construction of 2 layers of a heavyweight quilter's cotton with a thread count of at least 180. And also, that mask should have a thicker and a tighter weave to it. Now, if you don't have that particular mask with the high thread count, think of it as sheets or something in bespoke tailoring.
Right.
Lesser quality fabrics, they will work. However, you will have to add an internal layer of flannel to that mask. So
it's not just a matter of just putting fabric on top of fabric on top of fabric. It really needs to have the filtering to be effective. Yes.
Just doing research and prepping, me, I'm always reading and studying, life student. But there is a designer that I stumbled across. Her name is Kayla Wilburn, and she has a new concept out where it's a mask and a head wrap all in one.
Uh-huh.
And within that, she has a pocket filter. It doesn't come with a filter. But some of the responses that I've read from other people responding to the aesthetic of it were saying that you could actually use a coffee filter in the pocket.
So
people are being very creative.
Inside.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a pocket inside. You're correct.
Okay, and you obviously put something in the pocket or don't put anything in the pocket, but I hear you. That's a real good tip because, something around the house in the kitchen.
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send it, an actual photo to you, and you can find
Fabulous.
it on Etsy under her label is Fanny Lucille. But I'm going to send you some images to show how people are being very creative, masketeers, if you will.
I love it. And I'll add that to the post, too, so people can see that.
Great.
Yeah.
I think another thing when it comes to mask that's interesting is that particularly this one and women of color, hair is a defining factor, as my grandmother said, it's a glory. So her mask gives you an opportunity to still be fashionable. And a lot of them have Afrocentric international themes to them. So you still could be fashionable because
Kayla?
What's that?
I just say, are we still talking about Kayla or someone else?
We're still talking about that particular aesthetic and how it lends during this particular season where nails, you can't get your nails done, you can't get your hair done. But with this particular mask versus others, you don't have to worry about your hair, which I was going to segue into my sister.
Gotcha.
She has a cap that has the hair attached to it.
I love it.
So when you talk about
creative
fashion,
energies are flowing.
Function, and fashion, we still have to find a way to protect ourselves. Because you mentioned earlier that, we should maintain the 6 feet distance. But recently it's been found that it's actually double the distance. It's more than
12 feet.
Those 13 feet, yeah.
Wow. I hadn't heard that, and that's but yet I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so it's more than 13 feet.
What? 13 feet. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So we have
find that with the CDC.
And of course, my
favorite topic is
yeah.
shoes. And I just wanted to alert people that your shoes are major carriers of the coronavirus. I always like to say that shoes are what I consider mobile homes. They transport you and your valuables everywhere. And there are a lot of people who are walking into their homes after shopping for groceries, getting off of transit. And they aren't really thinking about what's living on the bottom of their shoes.
Right.
And the virus can live for 5 days on the rubber on the soles of your shoes. And if you have synthetic fabrics, it can live for 5 days. And I know many people who also take cardboard and put their shoes by the door on top of them.
Right.
So basically you're giving life to that cardboard too, because the virus lives 24 hours. But if you keep putting your shoes there and it's never cleaned, then you have another situation. So it's super important when you're taking your shoes off to immediately wash your hands.
So it's almost, dare I say, that the Japanese almost have it right where they leave their shoes outside and at times they don't come past the entranceway into the house, and we're almost kind of developing a lifestyle along those lines, I hear you saying.
Absolutely. I don't know if you're aware that Croc, they're forming some type of deal now with medical health workers.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that.
A rubber, so
right.
the rubber makes it easier to clean to combat the virus versus other shoes.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that. That makes complete sense. I'm sorry, go ahead, Etu.
Yeah, they did a sample trial, and they found that the samples from the soles from the ICU medical staff, they all tested positive.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Almost 100%.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. Etu, let me stop you right where we are. So
that's why I came up with the concept of, Corona and fashion. And that's not, and I mentioned I highlighted headwear, I highlighted shoes, mask, and there's also gloves. Because gloves are a utilitarian as well as the fashionable aspect of the industry as well. And there's so many
let me stop you right there and let me do a quick. Etu, let me do a quick station ID, and we stopped here, listeners in E2 at gloves, and I want to definitely come back to this and let our listeners know they're listening to the Danny Tisdale Show, and I'm Danny Tisdale, and we're speaking to Etu Evans, and we're doing it all on Harlem World Radio. Harlem World Magazine is independently owned, so please hit the orange patron button below and become a patron. And E2, we stopped at gloves. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying that gloves, are also a part of fashion.
Yeah.
In terms of utility as well as making a fashion statement. So everything we do is compounded by fashion in one way or another. But my concern with the gloves is that I see and hear people reusing gloves. And it's not a good idea. You need to discard them after you use them.
Right.
And you need to not drop them, and litter them all over wherever you are.
All over the place, right. No, I hear you, man, because I heard that not so much the gloves. I'm just going to, talk about some of the masks, that some of the care workers are just recycling the masks and using them over and over again. And, that was last week, and I hope that has changed.
I think it's improved. Yeah,
I hope so. And you,
it just bothers me that America is looking now like it's wearing Payless shoes and not my purple bottoms and a Gucci belt.
Right.
We are a world leader, but our healthcare system is being exposed. It's being inadequate. It looks like we're more concerned about opening the economy than the lives of people. There's just a lot of things that are richly disturbing to me. And then when I look in terms of Harlem and what's happening with the unequal levels of risk and accessibility to treat around those social economic lines, it's unfair because these low-income neighborhoods, particularly West Harlem, the virus poses a tremendously high risk for the elderly as well as those those who have comprised immune systems.
Mm-hmm.
I know people that's just dropping. It's terrible.
Yeah. No, I hear you, and we just posted something on the site at HarlemWorldMagazine.com where 9 members of one of the Baptist churches in Harlem.
My fraternity brother Johnny Green.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's hitting Harlem hard. And I wanted to, most definitely. And you've already talked about, masks, gloves.
I want to say one other thing, if I may interject about masks.
Go ahead, because I can circle back.
Another thing that bothers me that's also fashionable, but also that extends beyond fashion into identity is that I watched Dr. Oz show people how, I think it was on The Real, how to make a mask using a bandana, but for the greater America, if you will. Them wearing a bandana versus us wearing a bandana has a totally different connotation. That's gang.
And especially what color they are.
yes, the colors of those bandanas could end a life or save a life. Not only that, just recently in Walmart, there were some men of color who were told to get out in the middle of a pandemic for wearing a mask. What else were they supposed to wear?
This is what store?
Walmart.
Okay.
I just recently had to go into one because, you can shop there for food as well. And the only thing missing was DJ D Nice. It was so many people, I was slightly alarmed when I walked in. Yeah, so it's like masks have different connotations. So it's also important color depending where you are. I wouldn't recommend a bandana unless you're in an area where you're safe.
What would you recommend? Just plain fabric or?
I would recommend something that expresses who you are, but it doesn't have to necessarily be a bandana, because the last thing you need to do is go out to try to get some milk for your family and be arrested and profiled for trying to survive in the midst of
Can you imagine?
It's happening.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's happening more than we know, because we know there's not a lot of reporters in the streets to do a lot of this reporting. So no telling what's going on out there in a lot of ways. I was curious, Etu, because you already mentioned what's happening with masks and gloves and Crocs. As you look into your fashion crystal ball, do you see any other changes down the line? I mean, I'm just going to say, virus-free clothing. I don't know if that exists, if it's an issue, but any kind of fashion style changes, concerns, as if you look into your crystal ball and what we can see possibly coming either, soon or further along?
Well, I love to attend the trade shows in Italy, which do the fashion forecast.
Man. Great point.
Material. So, when I'm there, I'm always looking at the advancement of technology and custom things being dyed, sustainable materials to add to my designs. So I'm sure there's going to be, because all my factories in Italy are closed now, so nothing's open. But I'm sure when they do open, it's going to be rather exciting to see the advancements in technology that are available. But certainly they are smart fabrics that have thermal components to them. I even had a leather that when you touched it, it would change colors. It's amazing the types of things that could be done.
Leather?
Not only in fabrics, but in leathers as well. Even vegetable leathers now, I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure hemp is going to play a vital part in terms of manufacturing and usage in the fashion industry going forward. But I think the complexion of fashion has changed overall, because now everything is going to be virtual. We still want to see the show. You're going to be able to see it, but you probably won't be on the front row.
And don't want to be on the front row.
In New York, you'll probably be watching it from your living room or your couch.
Amazing. Amazing how this is changing everything that we do and how we do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to be logging on, I think it's Monday, and there the conversation is centered around this whole Zoom meeting about the future of fashion and how to still make a mark and move your business or the needle, if you will, forward. So it's Corona, it's terrible. I've lost many, and I know many who are suffering. But I also believe in times like this, it helps us to really see who we are.
Yeah. Right.
You asked me, theories and those kinds of things. I'm very interested in seeing what happens with this whole Chinese sort of debacle of them creating this and then getting out of the lab versus the first story in Wuhan in the wet markets with the bat being cut and the urine and the blood and everything is open. And all of these people are affected. Then my other thing is, where did all these thousands of people go now that you've lifted the ban? Are they in New York? Where are they? Chinese people that left.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, I've heard that in some places, depending on what part of the country you're talking about and whose country you're talking about, a lot of that has not been done, where they keep in contact with those who've had the virus. I think, matter of fact, to be specific, that was in England, where I heard that on, I think it was BBC, that, those who've been in the hospital, some have been switched to care homes, and some of them, they just have not kept track of them. So it's pretty incredible that, here we are in 2020, and this is how they're handling business. But we're already, E2, at that 5-minute mark, and I wanted to ask you, I know a lot of the work that you're doing, and I know last week or week before you were working on a book, and I know you're working on new products and probably more Etuology goodies. What are some of the things that you're working on that you can tell us about, and maybe whether it applies to the virus or not?
Well, I would like to highly suggest that anyone listening go to YouTube and enter Etu Evans TEDx and check out my TEDx talk, Leaving a Footprint. That went very well. It sparked the curiosity of many people, and as a result of it, it's prompted me to continue the dialogue and write a book. So I'm on my 4th page. The name of the book is going to be entitled Leaving a Footprint, Tracking the Politics, Proclivities, and Power of Shoes. In terms of Etuology, which is a high-end CBD lifestyle brand of lotions, ointments, soaps, everything is closed down, so I'm working on the packaging for that. And on the shoe side, I am working on a new line capsule collection of athletic footwear. Many people know me for the high-end, star-studded Beyonce kind of sensibility. But now I'm working on something athletic. Because after this coronavirus leaves, everybody needs to run into their destiny.
Yeah.
And besides that, just being the creative director of Harlem World.
Well, and I love it, and I can't wait for my pair of those sneakers that you're designing. And I wanted to ask you very quickly, E2, because we have 2 minutes left, and I wanted to ask you, matter of fact, we have 1 minute left. There's no CBD. How can the CBD cannot play any part in what's happening with the COVID crisis, or we don't know yet?
I haven't heard of any studies, but what I do know is people that consume it raw as well or make teas from it, they live pretty long and sustainable, ill-free lives. Some people, they enjoy smoke. Well, they're boiling the leaves and that kind of thing.
I see. Okay.
In the Caribbean. So normally it has a very healthy effect. But smoking and drinking are no-nos with this. I don't know if you saw the report that came out today that say that alcohol consumption increases risk.
No, I haven't. And E2, we're at that the last 15 seconds, believe it or not. I knew it was going to fly by. And hopefully I can twist your arm from a distance and have you back on the show. But thank you for always being on the show.
Appreciate it.
And I'll talk to you soon, man.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Long
live
always.
Harlem
Talk
World.
to you soon. All right. Thank you, brother. And thank you, listeners, for being on the show. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.